On today's podcast,
people will invest in you the same amount that you invest in yourself. You gotta take care of people. People matter. Just take care of them.
the truth is, adding value will never go out of style. Hello, and thanks for joining us for another Five Things podcast. I'm your host, Brian Smith, and I'm here with Caroline Neumann Black, joining us from Alton Lane in Raleigh, North Carolina. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
It's a pleasure, and today we're going to be talking about style and guys, a lot of the mistakes that you see or a lot of things that guys should be doing. But before we get into that, where are you from originally?
So I'm originally from the wonderful state of Connecticut, small beach town, Milford.
Okay.
Great place.
Awesome. And you've been down here how long?
I've been down in North Carolina for about 8 years now.
Okay.
So it's been a while.
You're almost from here now.
Almost. Been here longer than most people at this point.
And married?
Married.
Was it one dog or two dogs?
Big old dogs
All right.
with lots of personality.
And I know you just got back from a cool trip. Was it Montana?
We went out to Wyoming.
Wyoming, that's what it was.
It was amazing. We're getting the itch to go back out there. I think it's going to become a yearly thing.
That's awesome.
Out west.
So it was it mainly like hiking or skiing or?
So we skied. Well, I skied. My husband snowboarded, and I've been skiing for about 20 years now.
Okay.
He just got into snowboarding about 5 years ago. So it was a learning curve for him, but
Okay. Super.
Great time, great food.
Obviously enjoying it. What was your favorite part about Wyoming?
We saw a moose. I'm a big animal girl. So the skiing
They're huge,
was
aren't
wonderful. They're massive. They're just like, and they just chill on the side of the road. But they are not nice creatures. So
I've heard that.
Stay away. Yeah,
I've heard you don't want to mess with.
They'll charge you. They'll just chase you.
I was going to say, I think I saw a video recently where like a moose was charging a bunch of huskies and a guy in a sled.
I saw that one too. Yeah.
So don't mess with a moose.
So it was a very cute experience from a safe distance.
Right, and they're basically an SUV. I mean, they're massive.
Tahoe.
Yeah,
they're Tahoe.
Yeah, they're massive.
It's crazy.
So that's great to hear. And it was what, Big Sky, Montana?
We went out to Jackson Hole.
Jackson Hole.
Wyoming.
That's what it was.
It was great, and
yeah.
It was wonderful. I totally get the hype now.
Awesome. So what brought you down to Raleigh originally?
So I came to North Carolina for school, and then I ended up staying, and it just, like moving back to a place where the cost of living is it's very high.
It's crazy in Connecticut, right?
And I'm big on opportunities, and I just wanted to go to a place that was growing, because it's easy to grow in a place that's growing.
Sure.
Setting yourself up to be in a good position where there's a place with lots of growing businesses, lots of opportunities. So staying in the South staying in North Carolina just seemed to be the best.
Right.
The best option.
Okay.
So stayed, and it's been wonderful.
So is it one of those things like you looked online and you researched an area, or did you have friends or family here, or it was just you just picked it up and said, we're going to do this?
So I'm very blessed to have gone to a school, High Point University, that had a great career development center.
Okay.
Specifically, anyone who was involved in their sales, majors, minors, there were companies that literally paid to recruit students.
Okay.
And so I got recruited by a great company to come here to Raleigh. I was actually recruited for Charlotte and Raleigh. I chose Raleigh. It's a little quieter, so just decided to stay.
Raleigh's more of a big town to me, whereas Charlotte's more of a city.
Yes, very much so.
Pros and cons with both, but I think that that's the vibe I've always had, coming from Phoenix and, California right outside of LA. But any case, you've been here a while. It's so far so good. A lot less overcast, although it seems to be more overcast the last 5 years or so from my point of view.
Yeah, very much so. But I mean, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is,
Just gotta roll with it.
So we met. You're at Alton Lane, which makes custom clothing. Which of course I had to wear some of my gear here. So just so you know, you got the custom stuff on the inside. You got your name here, right there. So for me, it's like I don't have a great memory, so I can, if I forget my name, it's right there.
Yeah.
But I really love the stuff, and obviously the shirts with the initials, and you really get to pick all your stuff and really tailor it to the way you want it. So I'm a big fan. So 3 of my favorite lines are Robert Graham, Alton Lane, and I'm an Under Armour guy. I'm done with Nike, but that's a different topic. But which used to be probably one of my favorite brands, if not my favorite brand. But anyway, they're dead to me. But
touchy subject.
any case, so you've been at Alton Lane for, was it about a year now?
Yeah, so I started there actually in 2019, worked there for about a year, and then the pandemic happened, and just was best for me. Took a little step back, and then they got me hooked, and I came back, and it's been absolutely wonderful. Of course, I thought I could find greener grass. And Alton Lane was the greenest grass that I had available, so I went back.
Well, environment makes a big difference, right? There's obviously, we all work to get paid. We're not doing it because we 100% love it, but there needs to be some flexibility, and you got to be with an organization that, I call it compassionate capitalism. Like, I've never once told an employee no for time off that I can remember. And that's going back over a decade. So it's one of those things where I think environment means a lot. And I think when you're younger, which you're probably a year or two younger than me, or 20, but ultimately over the years, I think you learn that, you know what, I might be able to go make another $5,000 a year over there, but there's a risk in leaving. There's a risk in leaving and going to an area where they might treat you terrible. They might be busting your chops about time off or things like that. So, you got to weigh the whole package.
Oh yeah, I see it as like a huge issue. Not issue, but people in their 20s, I'm in my 20s, where everyone just thinks there's greener grass. And no one takes a look and says, well, maybe my grass isn't green because I'm not watering it. And I wasn't watering my own grass. And so I was like, no, it's the company. And so I left. And then I started watering my grass, and I started taking care of myself and realizing that the grass is green where you water it.
Interesting.
And so
can you elaborate on, can you give me some specifics? Because I love hearing people's perspectives on this, because as an employer for most of my life now, I've got a perspective, but I was also an employee. I can look back and see where, man, I was not a good employee for that company. And I'm actually, I'll talk about it for people to learn, but you learn along the way. So what are some of the things you felt like you weren't doing initially that you ended up doing, which probably made you a much more valuable employee, but also happier in the process?
I've been a people pleaser for as long as I can remember. But when you're a people pleaser, you tend not to ask for what you want and for what you need. And so, but then I also had this kind of level of entitlement that's like, well, why can't they read my mind? Gosh, and so it was this, it was just not a good combination of, I was burning myself out trying to please, management, and they were pleased. And then I got upset by not getting what I wanted when it came to like benefits and, or like time off or recognition, but I never asked for it.
I never initiated the conversation.
Yeah. And it's,
and you became offended, and they didn't even know you're upset or wanted anything different.
Exactly. And I was so worried about not ruffling feathers and not rocking the boat. But it's not really rocking the boat or ruffling feathers when you're just saying, hey, like, did I do well? Hey, like, what do you think of my performance? Like, those things when you're a people pleaser seem like you're being selfish, and it's not. You have a voice. Like, use it. And obviously use it respectfully and, like, be a good employee. But if you need things, ask for them. No one knows unless you ask. And so I just didn't ask.
And that could be tools to do your job better. That could be time off. That could be adjusting the schedule to maybe get off an hour earlier, maybe come in an hour earlier and leave an hour earlier. So, you ever listen to any Jordan Peterson by chance?
I do not.
I love Jordan Peterson. I'm going to send you some stuff. But he talks about how, we all have traits. And women traditionally, not 100% of the time, but women are more prone to being agreeable. whereas men are typically prone to be a little more disagreeable. And that agreeableness, I'm actually consider myself very agreeable. So I'm actually probably trend to the female side of the agreeableness scale, which means we're easier to get walked over, number one, early on in our life before we learn to push back the agreeableness and dig in when we need to. But Jordan Peterson talks a lot about that when, and I don't want to go down this road, but like the pay gap or things of that nature. A lot of times it's just because we're not asking for what we need. And that could be in any relationship. You know, it could be in a romantic relationship, your kids, friends, and certainly work. What are, if you don't mind sharing, what are maybe one or two of the things that you felt like you needed to ask for to be happier?
I mean,
if you don't mind sharing, maybe one.
One of like the biggest things was just, I mean, one of the huge things is that like when you go to work every day, like if there's something that like makes you unhappy, or there's something that's unsettling, or like if you work with someone who makes you like uncomfortable, or not like in like a weird way, but just like there's things that go on, just say something. It doesn't make you a bad person. It helps the business. And like I wasn't willing to take ownership enough of the business and say things like, hey, like this isn't right, or this isn't okay. And so then when those things went on, I was like, well, like I can't believe it's going on. Instead of just turning around and saying like, hey, let's fix this.
Right.
I wasn't taking enough ownership. And so I'm taking ownership of like the fact that the company did nothing. It was me.
Right.
It's a me thing.
Right. Because you're in control of your environment to a large extent.
Oh, well, I mean, your life is up to you.
Right.
And like your circumstances are a product of your decisions and what you like ask for.
And here's a note: if you're watching this and you're an employee, take notes of this, because this is really good content. Because I'll have people that work with me, and I'm always open to suggestions. You know, I got mixed emotions about Bill Gates, but one of the things originally I heard about him is he received letters from everybody in the company, and he would read them all. And from the janitor to, he wanted to know from employees' perspectives what the company could do better, because I'm generally, as an owner, I'm at a 50,000 foot view and I've got a perspective, but I may not be seeing the things, or out in lane management may not be seeing the things day to day that you're dealing with on the front line, that like, hey, you know, this really sucks for me. It sucks for our customer experience, or, you know, we're wasting money, we're wasting time. You know, these are things that by you bringing those things up and taking that ownership, which is a really key word, not only does your life get better, but the business gets better.
Yeah, the business has grown, like the company as a whole has grown. Not, I mean, like financially is great. Like those are fantastic things, but management, the trust that management has in employees, and everyone's open to feedback, which is absolutely amazing. We're a smaller company, like around 50 employees. I think we have a little bit more now, but I mean, everyone talks to each other, and there's open lines of communication through all levels of management, and people genuinely want to help each other. And that, I mean, it creates an environment where you feel like you can't fail. I mean, if I call my boss and I say, hey, like, I don't know what to do in this situation, he helps me handle it. It's
Right.
not okay, I'll do it. He literally teaches me how to do better, how to be better, and that it sets a great example.
Mentoring you how to make those decisions.
Exactly.
Right.
And anyone in the, like, if, like, say, like, I was interested in product, anyone in product would be willing to answer any questions that I had. And it's having that level of, like, closeness with, like, the CEO, with the founder, with literally everyone. It's, I mean, like I said, you feel like you can't fail, but it also feels like you're never alone, because like in our showroom it's myself and it's Becky, just the two of us, and so sometimes it can feel like we're on this little island, like we're like the redheaded cousin, that's like just hanging out over there, like
Figuratively and literally.
literally. But it's the second I pick up the phone, if I need something, someone is there to help me. And the business has always been like that. I mean, for as long, 2019, like it's always been like that. I was just a people pleaser and thought that asking questions would make me look bad.
Right.
But
Or
now,
be insulting them when actually they want you to ask the questions.
And so through my like own self-growth journey, I've become more aware of how great the company is to work for, and just how much my perspective on where I work has really not all that much to do with the actual company and with what's going on like within myself. And so if I'm happy with myself, if I'm taking care of my own needs, going to work it's not a chore, because I'm going in on a positive note. I'm going in already taking care of myself. Like I'm in a good place. So it makes it easier to see positive things in my work environment.
Those are all great tips. I can tell you, again, as an employer, that I've seen people that start going through things personally, and all of a sudden they're finding fault at work. And I know now, back then I didn't really realize I got to watch this to make sure this doesn't become negative at work and start pooping on other people in the company and things like that. So a lot of times when things start going wrong personally for an employee, it'll bleed over into the office. And then if you're not careful, they will, cause negative for the whole organization. And so, as an owner, you got to watch that. You got to manage that, or a manager, or even a coworker. You got to maybe give that employee good feedback. Like, hey, this isn't really that bad. I know you're going through a lot, just good feedback, because they might be on a downward spiral if they get fired because they're being the negative Nelly. And those are really good things to know. And so it says a lot about you that you're taking ownership and you're in control of your island, which makes your employer happy, and your quality of life is better. And you said that there's been growth since you've been there, right?
Oh yeah, we've been very blessed to have like people like yourself, to have people who also very much enjoy our brand, and we've been very lucky to have created a referral-based business for the most part. And so it's when you put in the work, when you take care of the people that, like you're supporting me. My dog had surgery a couple weeks ago. Who paid that bill? You know what I mean? Like it's, so when you take care of people, it comes back to you tenfold. And I don't say that in like a selfish way, but that's just...
No, it's 100% accurate. As a client, you're personable, you're fun, you're real. It's not, some of these places you walk in and it's such a stiff, sterile environment, whereas you actually have personality. You're talking, you're engaging, and
maybe multiple, I don't know.
Multiple personalities. I haven't encountered that yet, so I'll let you know if I do.
Just the one. There's a lot of it, but there's just the one. But yeah, it's, one of the biggest things when you have a business that's based on relationships is focusing on those. Like the clothes are great. I love our clothes. I love our product.
Sure.
But like people matter. Like, and that's something that I've learned from literally Alton Lane. Like they take care of us. Like our benefits are great, management's great, and it's like people matter. Everyone that comes in the door, there's a level of relatability. Like we're both human beings. Like, and there's always something to relate to someone on, and just make a friend. That's literally all that it is. And it's, unfortunately, it's kind of become a novel concept, but you got to take care of people. Like it's in this go world of like, it's people matter. Just take care of them.
Absolutely. And really, what I always have said is I'm not in the security business. I'm in the people business. And you're in the people business. You're not in the clothing business. Clothing just happens to be what you do. But again, when you put people first and you try to serve them to the best of your ability, and I can tell you that no matter how good you are, not everybody's going to be happy. Some people are just miserable, and they find your way into your shop, or they get security, or whatever. But, if you should be in a 97, 98% range of pretty happy folks. The other thing I want to mention is, do you know what your love language is by chance? The 5 love languages? I would bet it's acts of service is one of them, one of the top 2, just from listening.
So my husband and I, we went through and we did this, and I love him to death, as I should. Mm-hmm. But it's funny. We did the test and I retook it because I was like, there's no way this is true. I have 3 that are almost completely equal.
Interesting.
And I would look at him, my husband, and I was like, I'm so sorry. This is an uphill battle, is it not?
All right.
So words of affirmation, acts of service, quality time.
Okay.
My top 3.
All right.
Words of affirmation, is this just slightly more than the other ones? And it's funny because that's it's words matter. And that's
it is what it is.
I find myself, it's going to sound weird, but loving my clients, in my love language, making sure I'm telling them,
sure.
It was really great to see you.
Right.
How, remembering things about that, their dog's name, all of these things.
Well, we communicate naturally in the way we want to be received. But reason why I brought it up is because one of my top 2 is acts of service. And I think that's why I do well in a service business, is because I care about my clients. I want to serve them. I take it very personal if something doesn't go right. And I think that's created success for me. So one of the things that I would encourage anybody listening is that you got to know your love language. You got to know yourself, because maybe if you're not an acts of service person, maybe if you're very low on the scale, maybe you don't get in a service type business because you might not be good at it. It's all about knowing yourself and what your strengths and weaknesses are too.
I would also urge anyone who's unhappy in their work environment to find out their love languages and figure out if they're unhappy because they're not receiving that in their work environment.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're words of affirmation, if I'm not saying I need to be bowed down to.
No, I get it. Yeah.
Constantly told these things, but if I'm not told hey, good job, I could become unhappy.
Right.
And so it plays a role in every facet of your life. I almost wish they weren't called love languages. It should be life languages. Because people tend to be oh no, it's just about my relationship. But
right.
It's about
everything. Yeah. And here's the other thing is a good manager is going to look to see what your love languages are, see if they can pick them out. Because for example, if I do gifts for people's birthdays, which we generally do, I try to get it in their language. So someone might want a massage, someone might want time off to be with their spouse, someone might want a gift. So those are all the little things that I want to hit them where it counts the most. I want to get the most bang for my buck, if you will, and impact that employee in the most positive way I can. But these are the little things that I also like to add context, because a lot of people will talk bad about CEO pay, and the CEO pay makes so much more than the average person. And there's some truth in that, obviously. When someone's making hundreds of millions of dollars and employees are getting screwed over, well, I can understand that. But a lot of times, from what I've seen and people that I've met, a lot of times CEOs are the masters of people skills. And when a good CEO or a good manager is bringing out the best in people, it's because they have a lot of this type of knowledge. And people may not even understand that they're deploying that knowledge, that they are tactfully and tactically working with an employee to mentor them and hit their love languages and things like that. So a lot of times good managers, you don't even know that they're doing a lot of that type of stuff. You just know that I like working with them. Or they make me feel good about coming to work. And I'm a hard ass sometimes, but I also know that about myself, and I try to dial that down when I can. The people that are closest to me probably get it the worst because we've got such a great relationship. But I'll also apologize when I need to and things like that, or let them, or I'll just tell you right now and put it out there. Julie's become a very close person with me at the company, and she'll hear me venting about stuff, and then I'll start laughing. And I said, thanks, I needed that. I'll just get it off my chest. Had a client the other day that was, getting mad at us because their smoke detector in their home wouldn't stop beeping. And it's like, our devices don't beep. You know, we're getting chewed out for some smoke detector in their house. You know, and it's like, you know, it's just dealing with people, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, went a little bit of a tangent there. But so in any case, you've done really well at Alton Lane, and I know you're kind of, you know, don't like to brag on yourself, but you've helped grow the branch or the store or location, whatever you want to say. And I know several people that are clients of yours that have had great experiences. They plan on coming back. So I think a lot of that has to do with your ownership mentality.
It's actually like one of the pillars like of our company. Like one of our core values is taking ownership, because like I said, it's just Becky and I in our showroom, and we're trusted with this business and basically told, here, do something with it. And you know, I'm not gonna not do something with it. And so it's been, and I give a lot of credit to Becky too, because she is absolutely stellar at customer service. It doesn't matter what is going on personally with her. It doesn't matter like how much she's chewed out. It doesn't matter. She's like great response time, always has answers. Like if she doesn't have an answer, she's constantly giving like, I will have an answer by tomorrow. And she holds to that, and it's created like this great environment of, you know, you'll be helped.
Follow up and accountability.
And we try to always be on the same page, and it has really nothing to do with the clothes. Like it really doesn't.
I agree.
You know, we just take care of our people, and it has helped us grow a consistent. That's the big thing. One great month is great, but a consistent performance is what we've worked towards, and it's what we have.
It's key.
And consistency is nice in a sales job.
Definitely.
It's very nice.
Definitely. And here's the other thing is that the last point on that, I guess, is that, you know, your success with the company will make you more money. You know, your dedicated customer base makes you more valuable to your company. And those are little things that management knows. And I consider myself a compassionate capitalist. Like when the company grows, I want everybody in the company to benefit. My number one customer is my employee. Always will be. I've fired clients before because, you know, you're not going to talk to my employee that way. So, and I'm sure your organization's the same way with that kind of stuff. But I can tell you that you do a great job over there, and highly recommend checking it out. Cameron Village, Raleigh, North Carolina. But now we're gonna share some tips for the fellas, because it's only men's clothes there, right?
We can do women's. I'm a pretty small human, and I've made a good assortment of suits for myself.
Okay.
We don't advertise that we do women's.
All right.
I can help the ladies.
Okay. Well, that's good to know as well. I didn't know that. Selfishly concerned about my clothing needs when I go in there. So, I like style. I like dressing nice. I like looking nice, whether it's a bathing suit or, you know, a suit. And you guys really help with that. What are some tips for the fellas getting into the 5 things? What's the number one thing you think? And it may not be the number one thing in terms of highest priority. Maybe it is. I don't know. What is one of the things that guys are doing wrong when it comes to dressing?
They're not investing in themselves. It's not selfish. It's not materialistic to invest in your wardrobe. And it's not, I'm not saying that clothes are the end all be all. They're really not. But not investing in your appearance when you show up to an interview, when you go to a networking event. Like, it's the first thing people see. Your shirt's wrinkled. People notice that.
Right.
Your shirt, it doesn't fit well. Like, it's a suit from 2002. People notice these things. And people will invest in you the same amount that you invest in yourself. No one's going to sit there and pour gallons of water into like a watering can with holes in the bottom.
Right.
Like no one's going to do that. So not investing in themselves. And it doesn't have to do with Alton Lane. Just like it's the same reason you have a gym membership. Get nice clothes.
Right.
They don't need to be hundreds of dollars. Just things that fit well.
Right.
Things that make you feel confident.
Well, the other thing too is, and I'll just throw this out there because I've had this impression. I always wanted a custom suit. now I'm to the point where I don't know that I can buy a suit that's not custom because of the way it fits and the way I feel when I'm wearing that suit. And I'm sure that the impression that I'm making with other people, but I always thought it was a lot more expensive than it actually was as well. So the thing is, I would go to the store or the mall or wherever, and I'd spend 50, 60, 80 bucks on a regular shirt. And then I go to Alton Lane, and it's like $110 for a custom fit shirt that literally is shaped to my body, and to my arms. And we're all built a little bit differently. I, in particular, like, things don't fit me great off the rack. So I've always had to invest in tailoring even when I buy stuff. But I mean, it's this much more to your point to get something that looks really nice.
Mm-hmm. And it's that feeling. And that, honestly, the reason I'm in the business is when someone has never done custom before and they put on a suit and they come in and they're like, yeah, okay, I'll come try my suit on. Yeah, I'm excited. And then they put it on and they're like, whoa, like, this is made for me.
Right.
I feel great.
Right.
It's comfortable. It's lightweight. Like I'm excited.
Right.
And it's that excitement is like, I mean, imagine getting dressed every day and you're excited and you feel great about yourself.
Right.
Like, that's what I mean. People don't invest in themselves. You don't need to be in, like, gold glitter all the time.
Right.
But, like, take care of yourself.
Right.
Make sure you're wearing nice things.
First time I can say I rolled out of there, I got the 3-piece suit with the vest, which I like. Roll out of there feeling like James Bond. It's like, I feel good. So that's a huge thing. So invest in yourself. Number 2.
Not caring at all. It's not, and I think the pandemic has played a role in this, and I don't mean like the actual virus or anything, just the being at home more.
Complacency.
Exactly. And it's turned into, and it's great, everyone wants to be more comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a fine line between choosing more comfortable options and just not caring like what you look like. And I think it may be the way I was raised, why I feel this way, but it was always, you never know who you're going to run into. You never know who you're going to meet. The only time I leave the house in sweatpants is when I'm getting a spray tan. And I go there and I come straight back. And that is literally it. And you don't need to be dressed to the nines, but just care.
Right.
Care about your appearance. It'll help your confidence. And so if you do run into someone,
right,
it's, hey,
and to your point, when I've seen people, and I mean, I've seen it in networking meetings, which is like shocking to me, but when you roll into anywhere, like if my shirt's not ironed, I'm not leaving the house. It doesn't take that long to just touch it up, or your shorts, are wrinkly and things like that. But I mean, to me, that just makes such a difference.
It really does.
Especially if you run into somebody. But even if you don't, I mean, you're just, the way you represent yourself is, I don't know.
It's important. You're your own brand.
Right. 100%. Number 3, what do you got for us?
Oh, this is a spicy one. Letting other people dictate what you wear. And this can go for anything, how you live your life, anything. I get quite a few spouses that are very highly opinionated and will literally rip the joy from their husband's like rug right out from under them about things. And it is absolutely heartbreaking to watch someone come in. They say they see a lining that they really, really like. It has elk on it. They love hunting. It makes perfect sense. They adore it. And their wife goes, why would you want that? And they will listen, even though they're the ones paying for it. Don't let other people tell you what is allowed to bring you joy. If your lining brings you joy of your jacket, if this fabric makes you happy, if this outfit makes you happy, wear it.
Go with it, yeah.
Because otherwise, you're trying to fit a mold that someone else has set. How are you going to excel and grow when you're constantly turning around and saying, is this okay?
Right.
Is what I'm doing okay?
Interesting.
Like,
what do you think is the driver behind that? To me, it's almost the first thing that I think of is like an insecurity in the wife doesn't want the husband looking too good or something. That's the first thing I think of. Could be wrong.
I think it's a control thing. And it's not every wife. I have a lot that are like, whatever he wants.
And it could be vice versa. It's not
exactly. But I think it's when people are not comfortable with themselves, they have a lot of trouble like
with people that are comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. It's, well, how can you be so confident in that when, they're so insecure about themselves? Or it's they don't find joy in things, so how they don't understand how someone else could. And it's definitely a case by case basis. It's
Sure.
not everyone is this way.
Sure.
But it's very, very sad to see. I'm like, well, aren't you running the credit card?
Yeah.
Like, isn't it? I'm like, it's very confusing.
I'm going to tell you, I'm going to get the lining I want if I'm buying a jacket.
Exactly.
So,
it's very funny when my husband gets dressed. He'll ask me what I think of his outfit. And I say, do you want Alton Lane, Caroline, to answer? Do you want your wife to answer? He goes, my wife. And I say, it looks great. Sometimes I do say, you need to steam that. It's a little wrinkly.
Well, wrinkly's one thing.
But
that's good general advice.
But it's, don't give your opinion where it's not asked for.
Right.
You know what I mean? Let people do what they want to do. Life's short.
Right.
Be yourself.
Unwanted advice is criticism.
Exactly.
Nobody likes to be criticized. So that's good stuff. I wouldn't have, I mean, that doesn't surprise me, I guess. But you see all types of things doing what you do, I'm sure. Number 4, what do you got?
Poor fit on clothing.
Okay.
If you're pulling a tux out from 2002 and the pants are shaped like Legos, it is time to replace it or bring it to a tailor. Because A, it's outdated. B, it can be, I have seen many, many $3,000 suits that fit terribly. And it's just not a good look. There's no real great psychology behind this one.
Right.
It's not a good look.
They should fit. That's another little thing about having the custom stuff is when it starts getting a little tight, I know I need to cut back on the Cabernet.
Well, the cool thing with us is because we're custom and because, alterations are very common, we put an extra like 2 inches on most seams, waist,
to be able to take it out if
jacket,
needed.
Yeah, and
All right.
we always say you have 10 pounds either way.
Don't tell me that.
Okay, well, don't
I want to keep fitting in my stuff.
It's 10 pounds of alterable, not 10 pounds without altering.
All right.
We'll put it that way.
All right. But that's good to know. So if you do get on a little bit of a binge, long vacation or something, you come back a little portly, you can adjust it if needed.
And I always tell anyone with an athletic build, I always say, did weight fluctuate or anything like that? We have stretchy things, which helps exponentially.
Yeah.
Because it's guys who have, bigger hips. The waist of their pants tends to gap off their lower back. Add some stretch, fixes the problem. Change the shape of the pants, fixes the problem.
There you go. But that's why you deal with a pro.
There are solutions.
Right.
Poor fit does not have to be your life.
Awesome. And then wrapping it up with number 5, what do you got?
I wouldn't call it spicy, but an inconsistent quality through things in your life. So I see guys who will have, they come in, they put a Porsche key on the table. I'm like, so you have a $1,200 car payment.
Right.
And you won't invest in clothing.
Right.
And it goes back to like you are your own brand. Like, and the other thing is, obviously, listen, my husband cares about cars way more than he cares about clothes. But when he gets dressed, he looks nice. He does have a James Bond suit. You also have one. It's a good one. But you get dressed, you take care, like, if you're going to invest in one thing, invest in it. Invest in your clothes.
Well, especially depending upon your profession as well. It's he doesn't need suits every day, if I'm not mistaken.
No, the man wears our 4-way stretch 5-pocket pants and polo shirts.
Right. So
I'm kind of jealous.
But if you're a sales professional, if you're an executive, if you're a manager, these are things that your appearance really makes a statement regularly.
And you set the precedent for everyone underneath you.
Right.
Because I'm sitting there, for example, you see your boss wear jeans. I guess I can wear jeans. Nothing against your jeans. But just saying that it's like it starts from the top and it goes down. And so it's hard to, it's kind of one of those, what's the saying?
We got to set the
do
standard.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Right.
But it's easier to just do what there's, just make it consistent.
Right.
Just make it consistent.
Well, the other thing is, and again, being a management or ownership is if you are a 9 in any category, whatever that is, it's accountability, appearance, attitude. If you're a 9, there's rarely going to be any 10s in your organization because you kind of set the standard. And so your organization will do as well as you do in a lot of areas, in a lot of cases. So that's something to think about when it comes to your appearance, is that if you're rocking a 9, well, don't expect a lot of 10s walking around.
Because no one wants to outshine their boss. No one wants to feel like they're overdoing it, or they're like overdressed, or they're any of those things. And so it starts at the top.
Yeah. I was at Stir the other day, and there was this, we had a meeting with the manufacturer's rep, and there was this group of people that sat down, obviously some type of sales, financial guys or something, but all of them, I could tell, they all invested well in their suits. I should have slid your name over to them. As hindsight 2020, but
I'll forgive you.
they might already be clients because they looked good. Like, it was noticeable to where I saw them, like, that's a good looking crowd right there, you know. And the one guy that I figured was kind of the big cheese, he looked the best, you know, like that was probably a $5,000 outfit or something to that effect. He just the you know, the no socks with the type of shoes, and, you know, but he had the nice tie poofing out and the 3-piece, and they were rocking it. But it makes an appearance. It makes a big difference.
And there are plenty of, and it doesn't, like, you don't need to wear Gucci shoes every day, or, you know, any of those things, but there are affordable options that fit well, that look good, that you can go to a tailor and get tailored for less than $100, and then you're setting a good precedent that you should look good, it should fit well. It doesn't have to be like some big name brand. It doesn't have to be custom, but just putting effort in, setting the precedent that what we look like isn't everything, but it matters. Like, it's especially salespeople, how you dress is how you're representing your company. So showing up in scuffed shoes, or, you know, pants that have like a tear in the bottom, like, people notice those things. Like, don't be sloppy.
Right.
You know?
So that's good. That's a good rule of thumb. We're going to end on that. And don't be sloppy, per Caroline. And if people want to come get fitted out and check your selections, Alton Lane, Cameron Village, Raleigh, North Carolina, easily can be found on the internet if you need the address. Actually, 408 Daniel Street.
For the fact that you have that memorized.
It's because I've invited a bunch of people there.
Is true.
We're having a bourbon tasting tomorrow night. We're maxed out, though, so you can't come. So
Maybe next time.
Maybe next time. Just reach out to Caroline and or myself, and we'll get it coordinated as long as you're not a creeper.
Yeah,
and bring your credit card.
So we also like puppies. Bring puppies.
Bring puppies.
We like puppies.
All right. Well, bring puppies. Puppies for discounts, maybe. Puppies for a glass of bourbon. We'll do that.
That's a fair trade.
That's a fair trade. All right.
I can deliver on that.
Well, thanks for joining us. Thank you, Caroline, for joining me, and thanks for joining us for another 5 Things podcast. Make it a great day. Hello, this is Brian Smith, and thank you for watching. Please subscribe for more valuable content.